Okay, so I'm just going to turn my internet off. I'm just going to point out some stuff that I'm noticing people are doing or forgetting or not observing when they're blocking in their forms. And I'm going to do it on two subjects here because these are the two best photos I could find. Just by quick notice, I didn't want to spend ages doing this. There we go. So we've been doing our draw overs, so we've been getting our major forms in there. My pen needs to be bigger. So we're getting our major forms, we're thinking about our skull shapes and all that kind of stuff, which is good. Some of you have been struggling with getting an idea of what to look for or something like that. There isn't really a hard and fast formula to what you should be looking. Well, there is technically, but a lot of it is how you transfer this information. And I always think the best information is the planes of the head. So if you're looking at the profile here of Willem Dafoe, it's the the angle of forms there, the basic shapes. Obviously his mouth open a little bit there, so we don't have to worry about that. And yes, his hand is covering up his jawline there, but I'm not really using the photograph just for that. I'm just thinking very mechanically about it. Obviously, on top of that, I can also think about where the folds and transferring edges of all this information. Transferring edges, what does that mean? It's the direction in which stuff falls across the face. Is there any information up here? Is there any information around here? I'm thinking about that kind of stuff. I'm also thinking about the general curve. So I'm thinking very blocky at the minute, but I can also think about the general curves of the face. So at least in profile, like where is the nice side profile there? So the curves, the sweeps of the face, which is going to really help me because obviously we've got a side plane here where the face is. And if we were to think about this curve, which just comes just above the ear here, and it comes down across, traces across the cheekbone, traces past the corner of the mouth, and then lands on the chin there. That kind of helps you get the width of the chin. And this whole section here would be essentially planar at the beginning stage when we're first blocking in our forms. And we just make sure that we've got the width of our jaw in there first. We want to do this before we got some good width of the jaw, position of the jaw, but that'll just allow us to make sure that this is nice and formed. So we've not got this overly round side of the face. But I'll do that in another video. For this video, what I wanted to talk about, on the actual photograph, that's clever of me, isn't it? What I want to talk about in this video is something I was really observing people not observing. And it's just within the eye. Because what I'm seeing a lot of people do when they're blocking in the eyes here, they're coming out of the chin like that, out of the eye like this. So we got the eye right here, obviously. We've got the eyeball there, and you're just coming out of the eye and just going straight like that. And I think that's what's causing a lot of puffy cheeks because, yes, our subjects will have kind of rounder jawlines, or not round, like more pronounced cheekbones on the side there. And I think we're thinking that is just a straight line that goes to the other side, like that. So if the cheekbone is this kind of pronounced on the outside in the profile, then it's going to be that pronounced going through. But that's not the case. It's that area here, just coming out of the eye, which is a problem area. So if we actually look at our reference and like that, so we'll get the eye back in. Whatever. So what we've got like here is it comes down and then this and then this. It doesn't come out and over like this. This is what we don't want, this line. So we need to really look at the angles of the face going down like that. Because this point here is only going to look the width it is from that 3/4 view like I've just drawn in then. That's our cheekbone, that's our cheekbone. It's only going to look that width because the shape of the skull underneath. When it comes into where the nasal bone is, it does actually come into the face, so it does wrap round into the face. So you want to be pushing this section in a little bit. And it's why it's really important to observe, you know, the skull landmarks. You can see here in this picture where his teeth are. My phone's gone off. So you can see the distance from like the ridge of the nose there to where would be, you know, because the tear duct, I'll change the colour for this just so it's a little bit easier to see. The tear duct is going to be about there, obviously on the opposite side of the eye, and then we've got the corner of the mouth there. So you can see from there to there, it goes in, and then it's wrapping around. But at this point of the eye here, it's quite flat, it's coming down. So like I said, we're seeing a lot of people just coming out and, you know, making the cheek really, really wide. The widest part is here. That's why you've always got to just move around, move around. If you get stuck in front view, if you get stuck in profile view, you're just going to end up making these really, really fat cheeks when really, you know, it's surprising how flat a face is. Even a person who's got a very, very full face, it's surprising actually how flat that face is. So we look at Angelica Houston now. Same thing happening here. I'm seeing a few people making some very kind of shapes in this area here. Now, the period in which we're taking Angelica Houston from, she's a little bit younger than obviously these days, it's 20 years ago, but the same thing's still happening. We're still kind of overdoing the cheeks. She's got quite wide cheeks, and her prominence is her nose, obviously, but her cheeks, the cheekbone region here, it is quite wide, but only in that 3/4 view. You know, only in that view. Once again, when it comes to the actual cheekbone shape here and the inside of the nose, it's actually very flat. I think this will also save people from overdoing laugh lines as well, or making like really, really bulging cheeks coming out like this, which they don't. He is quite flat, and then it starts to kind of get around here, and he gets a little bit rounder, as we go into the cheeks. But please remember that underneath the eye here, it's quite flat. Now with your pictures as well, with your reference images, absolutely take them into some kind of Photoshop or some whatever, you know, and mess around with the levels to see if you can pull out some of those shadows. See there, like I've done there, I can see clearly that fall from the eye down into the cheek. It's pretty flat. You know, Defoe in this image anyway hasn't got a really round under eye. Of course, his eyes are closed, so they might be different when his eyes are open, but it's not very, very round. It's fairly flat, fairly small. But then we just get a little bit of an angle coming out and then down like that. So I don't think we're going to be able to get as much control on the Angelica Houston image here, but let's see what I'll do is I'll just desaturate it because I don't want any colours in this image. So I'll just desaturate. There we go. Maybe I can pull out some. Yeah. Something like there for me. Whoops. So there, what we've got is a bit of a better idea about. But this actually, this particular image, just gives me a pretty good idea about what's going on here. Remember that kind of ribbon kind of shape we were talking about inside there. And yeah, boom, very, very flat going into the cheeks. Very flat going into the corner of the mouth. Think about that Riley method. Again, I'm kind of, can't really see or hear too much here, but you know, that sweep coming in there, coming in That's the point of a cheekbone, which is the widest part. So that's in that three quarters view. That's the thing which is giving us the width. But then as you wrap around to the internal side of the nose, it does go back into the head, remember. It does go back into the skull. So if we were to look at it from the top and I over-exaggerate it, you know, we're coming in from the sides. These are cheekbones, the widest part of our cheekbone. This is our nose in the middle. They're kind of doing that. So our eyes are there, go straight down. You see eyes are there, go straight down. A little bit over-exaggerated, but you get the idea, you know. See your ear back there. Our eyes are obviously because currently what we're doing is we're getting a lot of getting a lot of this. Not even that, we're getting a lot of this. So we're getting really, really fat cheeks here and here, which I think is also then pushing everything forward. So pushing the entire face forward, so we're getting a bit of a too much of a pronounced muzzle depending on the subject. So yeah, remember that inside the skull you do have the little maxilla imprint there, which I know I've pointed out a lot of times. It's the side of the nose. It's where the skull kind of goes in a little bit. But on your references, really look at this area. Look at the shapes coming down. Does it go out? I think I get a picture. There you go. Does it come down? Does it come out like this? Or does it go flat? Here, does it go out? This is why we want all those different angles so you can see all these different kind of forms. And if we just take a bit of time, doesn't have to be a full day, literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes, analysing those pictures. You can do another kind of analysis, add that to your PRF, add it to your other analysis section, your other analysis images, and you're good. So that's all I want to do on this one, just to kind of point out some stuff I'm really kind of seeing people not necessarily observing, but I really need people to observe that. Cool. See you in the next one.